Hey everybody, it's Rick. I have really procrastinated this year getting the snow thrower on the John Deere for a lot of reasons. One, we've had a relatively mild fall and relatively mild winter so far, so I've still been able to do some projects around the house and in the woods. And the second thing is, when you do put the snow thrower on, I call it paralyzes the tractor. You really can't do much else with the snowblower on with the mounting brackets for two reasons. One, you can't simply take the snow thrower off and then remount the loader. There's just not enough clearance with the stand and the front brackets. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see where they sit. It doesn't work. There's not enough room. The other thing it does is with the brackets on, it tremendously reduces the clearance under the tractor, because those mounts hang low, down in front, and reduces it from where it is now, which is almost 2 feet, 18 inches. It takes it down to like 6. So I'm not about to start, going through the woods or doing anything with those brackets on. Sure, I could change it. I mean, that's what it's good at. But again, in the wintertime, I'm not a real fan of working on stuff, where I have to have my fingers out. I can't have them in gloves. Taking the blower off, putting the blower back on, putting the loader on, taking the loader off, and everything that's involved with it. Yeah, you can do it. It's just my preference. So once I put the blower on, it really just will stay in that condition until, obviously as storms come, then we use it. So what I'm going to do, I won't bore you with this. I'm going to go up to the shed and get the pallet down that's got the blower on it and all the mounting brackets. We'll get it set up inside here in the garage, and I'll walk through it with you as to how I install it. And as I said in some other videos, the John Deere manuals do not do such a great job illustrating some of the things that you have to do, and I'll point those out. The one that I keep harping on a lot is the speed sensor pickup that you have to connect. And if you don't connect it, every time you go from forward to reverse, you're going to get a shutoff. I'm still questioning what that safety feature is. I mean, it's not like you're getting up off the tractor. You're just changing direction. You're sitting on it. You're in control of it. So anyway, I'm not sure what the driver was, other than I'm sure it was probably some issue with rotating equipment and some other safety issue that John Deere wanted to make sure they were covered with. So let me get this thing going. Let me get up to the shed, bring down the pallet, and we'll start the process of mounting the blower on the tractor. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I brought the pallet into the garage because what I want to do is offload the front mount bracket and the PTO shaft bracket, holding bracket in here. These you can handle. I'll then back it back out, and I've got to lift the snow thrower off. I've got a pair of straps. I'll actually lift it up, I'll put it on a dolly, and that way I can maneuver it around when it's time to connect all this up with when the brackets are connected. So let's I'll start taking this stuff off, and we'll start getting things unloaded. As much as I love to do things with the hydraulics, this is the manual part. Second cup of coffee is obviously kicking in, even though it's almost noon here. Instead of putting this on the dolly, I have to take it off the dolly anyway when I align it with, when I go to grab it by its mounting pins and get it on this hydraulic mount lift. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower it and put it down on some 2x4s here. And I'll then back out and then have to take off. This is what I talked about earlier about it paralyzes the tractor. I'm going to take the pallet forks, take them back up to the shed, take all it off, undo the loader, and then bring it back down here and start mounting. Okay, we're ready to, as I call it, she's now in her sport mode with no attachments on it. She's not like this often. But anyway, let's start mounting stuff. The first thing I like to do is get the PTO shaft aligned to the forward bracket that aligns the PTO shaft to the output on the transmission to this case. It's a double bearing holder. As you can see here, there's a back bearing here and then a front bearing over here. That fits, and this is splined. Well, this is splined because this is what couples actually into the snowblower drive, and this is actually hexagonal, which is how it gets held in these bearing mounts. Now, the other thing that you need to know is as you can see, it's off center. That's because the transmission, the PTO shaft, drive shaft, is actually offset to the, if you're sitting on the tractor, it's to the left, facing it obviously to the right. So we've got to make sure it is to this side. You can do it the other way and you'll have a lot of fun because it will not line up. This is the infamous speed pickup probe I talked about. This is the connector. There's a wire, it's a 3-wire connector that's also in the tractor. That'll come down to here, and I'll show you how to do that. If you don't put this in, you're not going to have a very fun time going forwards and backwards. It will go through a shut-off mode. Anyway, so the first thing I want to do is, I've actually cleaned this up a little bit. I just want to apply a little bit of grease. I just happen to have my grease gun here. I also check the bearings for play. Again, these do see a lot of torsional stresses. I mean, when the blower is moving around, or if you hit something, you know, this is, besides the mounts taking it up, the PTO shaft obviously sees it. And of course, if you go from, you know, light snow to like a heavy snowbank, obviously this bearing gets loaded as a PTO shaft, as the shaft gets loaded to continue to drive the thrower. So, you know, the bearings look good, they feel good. Actually, there's no movement, there's no lash on them at all, so they look good. All right, now, as I said, the fun part, although it looks easy, this hexagonal piece to fit into, being that these bearings spin independently, you gotta look at them carefully, line them up, and be able to slide this thing in. And it just takes a little bit of jigging and moving. Okay, I got it lined up. I just need to do a little convincing, if you know what I mean. Plastic rubber hammer. I think you can pretty well see this now. I'll get this bar out of the way when I mount it. Travel is needed on this. This is actually how, because when I connect it to the PTO drive shaft out of the transmission, I've got to slide this all the way forward. Then I pull it back to lock it. Without this movement, you couldn't, you can't get the drive shaft in. So you got to be able to have this capability. And once the PTO is in position, it is what holds then, it is then in alignment and distance-wise where the snow thrower drive shaft will come in and mate with the spleen shaft. You can see what I've done. I've just taken the PTO bracket, I've just positioned it in front of the tractor, slid the drive shaft in, and now we'll go ahead and attach this lower bracket. A little bit of maneuvering to do. Oh, the other thing which we take out, which I've already removed the clip, is you take out this locking bar that goes here. These pins here go up in here. It's a matter of just simple pushing it up there, like this, like so. Get your locking pin, slide it in, and voila, you're done. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and connect the PTO shaft into the output of the transmission. Now the disclaimer. You know, John Deere makes this look so easy, but it's not as easy as it looks. You gotta get that up in there. Now this is when you're lining it up on the spleen and then bring her home. No, she's not home yet. There we go. And she's home. Okay. Like I said, there's been some other videos that make it look unbelievably easy. All right, now we'll start with the other bracket. Okay, this is what they don't highlight very well, if at all, in any of the John Deere manuals, either for the tractor or for the snow thrower. This is right here. This is the pickup, and you can see I had the cap, I had a protective cap on there. I had loosened it, so I took it off. This is the speed probe pickup, and you can see the speed probe right down there, and it looks directly at the PTO shaft. So for some reason, they want to know, the machine wants to know that that is rotating, and when you're in drive, going from drive to reverse. If this is not attached, again, what the problem is, it'll go into a shutdown. So really, it's pretty basic. We just get our hands in here and put it together. Just like that, okay? And it just hangs there. Okay, now I've moved the blower mount in front of the tractor after putting on the PTO bracket. This one's actually very simple. Just move the hydraulic lines out of the way. It literally hangs, this literally hangs on here, and there's two locking pins, one here and one here. And that's really all it is. So here I go. That. Pull this back. I should have pulled this back before. That pin's in, and that pin's in, and literally, that's it. Okay, running the hydraulic lines is really easy. They've actually there's one bracket here that holds the hoses on the lift itself. You just sort of snake them through. You snake them through here. And through this bracket. Okay, we'll go ahead and connect these up. Again, the ones on the snow thrower mount are for the up and down. There'll be two more once we mount the snow thrower that controls the chute left or right. Now, most of the time I can get the chute controls on without having to re-remove these, but we'll see how she behaves today. Okay, just like that, we're in. We're good for good. Okay, and we'll just reconnect these. Okay, with the last step. So now we're ready to align the snow thrower lift to the snow thrower itself. We're going to be guiding these two slots to these pins, and then like the lower bracket, there's just two pins that pop in, and that's it. One of the things you want to do though to make sure you have clearance is from this to clear that. For storage, you tuck it up, but you just want to move this back a little bit, kind of eyeball it, because it's just got to fit in there. This will then couple to our PTO shaft that's already mounted. Just secure the pins. You see, they just pop in like that. That's all it is. And now we'll go do the other one. And here's the other one. There you go. It fits right in. Spring loaded, so you ensure it's seated. And that's all there is to it. Okay, now we just route the chute hydraulic lines. And we'll route it the same way we did the hoist, the lift hydraulic rack. Oh, something I want to highlight to you. For the a difference between the 1025 and the 2025, they had to add this extension to the hydraulic, to the chute hydraulic line because of the longer wheelbase. So be aware of that. That's why it's not quite an exact transfer over. If you have a chute already for 1025 and upgrade to a 2025, you're going to need this extension piece. Okay. These, of course, are color coded, and I'm going to do something because I've learned it the hard way, and it's my bad I haven't changed it. The dealer, first of all, he used a silver one on this. I'm not sure why. It should have been black, but there's a yellow to yellow. For whatever reason, these are backwards. So you're going to see me put the yellow to the black, this to there. And that's just from previous year's experience. Okay. So we are all connected. And the last step is, of course, attaching the drive shaft that's on the snow thrower to the PTO shaft. And again, it's a simple slip ring. Pull the locking pin back, twist it a little bit. There you go. And she'll just slide up and you ram it home. And that's in there. She's good to go. Okay, we're complete. I've gone through and checked everything again just to make sure it was all right. And now we'll go ahead and we'll actually test things. So we got the hydraulic lines connected, PTO connected, drive shaft to the thrower connected. We've got the speed pickup attached, wire attached. I've got remounted the toolbox. So let's give it a look. Okay, well, she's ready for the winter. Everything checks out fine. I'm going to do a couple more checks on it. There's a drivetrain for that drives the chute, actually, that there's got an inspection port that I'm going to open up and take a look at it. Really just checking for tension. It's just greased. It's not an oil bath in there at all, but I haven't looked at it. And this is now the second winter I've had with this, so I'm going to take a look at it. Everything else looked good. I went through again, checked the oil again. I checked the hydraulic fluid, and we're ready to go. So let's bring on winter. Of course, once you put these things on, and despite them calling for this huge storm on Wednesday, it won't happen, but we'll see. At least we're ready. Hey, there's a question that a couple of people have asked, do I put the ballast box on the back when I'm using the snowblower? Well, no, you could. I could. But the reason I don't is, keep in mind that when you're using the snowblower, you've got it in the down position, and I actually have it float. So there is the weight of the snow thrower is off the machine, so to speak, and you're pushing it and letting it eat. The only time you have weight on the front axle is when you're lifting it up and maneuvering again. And this thing really, if it weighs 75 pounds more than the loader and bucket, I'd be surprised. In fact, actually with the loader and the bucket, this is by far not even half the weight. I was thinking the bucket alone and the snow thrower itself are probably pretty comparable. But anyway, that's why I don't have the ballast box on there. The other thing, which is also important, I don't really have a lot of room behind it either, so I need to keep the length a little tucked. So that's why I don't use the ballast box, or don't have a need for it. I can't think of any other questions that were asked that I haven't answered some of you guys directly in your notes, but please, as always, your questions, your comments. Again, this is the way I do it. I'm sure there's other ways you can do it as well. I like sharing this with you guys, and I hope you've gotten something out of it. If you're evaluating the machine and evaluating this blower, I hope it helps. As you can see, it probably total time, it took me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's really long, but I had a lot to do with positioning the cameras and getting some shots and stuff that I wanted to give you guys. So it should only really take an hour. And again, be careful watching some of the John Deere videos that show how fast and quick this thing is to hook up. Like you saw with the PTO shaft, you got to monkey with it, and it's a little bit of grunting and groaning to get that thing lined up. Same thing with the drive shaft to the PTO shaft from the blower. Yeah, you got to play with it. It just doesn't slip on right away, and you got to make sure that those slip rings are locked. That's important. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll get a couple of videos in of actually working the machine. And as I always said before, always look forward to your comments. Thanks.